Gary Klein, LA Times, Rams reporter, joining us from the owners' meeting. Gary, how's morale down there?
Well, the morale overall, I can't tell you. In terms of the Rams camp, they're pretty ecstatic. Dan, Stan Kroenke and Coach Sean McVay are clinking beer bottles last night, toasting the arrival of Ndamukong Suh.
Did you talk to Coach McVay today?
I did. He was up very early for this annual coaches breakfast where coaches basically talk nonstop for 45 minutes. And McVay, I think, who leads the NFL in words per minute, started getting a scratchy voice about 26 minutes in, but he kept going strong.
All right, explain what this means, getting Ndamukong Suh for that Rams defense.
Well, we've seen what's happened during the offseason. They've been so active going and getting guys like Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib to land Suh really, I think, kind of completes this makeover of a defense that, Les Snead wanted to bring up to speed in terms of how much that offense improved last year with Todd Gurley and Jared Goff. So bringing Suh into the picture to team with Aaron Donald, at least on paper, makes them look really dominant. But I think McVay is going to have his hands full with a locker room now that is really turned over since last season.
And you're going to from a 4-3 to a 3-4, correct? With Ndamukong Suh, how does that change his role in the defense?
Well, according to McVay, he said this morning that Suh is going to line up as the nose tackle, and that Aaron Donald, who's played what they call the three technique, is not going to switch. He's kind of going to do what he's been doing all along. So I think he's leaving it, in the hands of Wade Phillips, who has a history of making these kinds of things work. And I think at this point, they're just, thrilled to have him on board only for 1 year, which I think probably works well for both sides. And they think, that this defense can be as effective as the offense was last year. And if they can put that together, then, maybe they can take that next step in the playoffs.
Isn't it amazing, Gary, where the Rams were 2 years ago? And now you fast forward to them being on the short list of Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, and think about just kind of our conversations over the last 2 years. Everything that went on with, them coming back to L.A., with Jeff Fisher being fired. I mean, it was not so long ago. It was a year ago that Les Snead really was on the hot seat. Like, how did he survive that purge? People were thinking. And now, you'd have to put him on the short list of executives of the year, at least in terms of the deals that he's been able to pull off in this offseason. It really has been a stunning turnaround, and I think that's just kind of a commentary on the NFL on how quickly things can change, especially when you get the right coach in place.
Any truth to the rumors, or at least the reports that the Rams are interested in Odell Beckham Jr.?
Absolutely, 100% true. McVay and Snead have been very cagey in terms of answering questions about that. I asked them that last night, and they were quick both to preface their answer with, well, we can't talk about other teams' players, but obviously you've seen during this offseason that we're not afraid to trade for anyone. So, there is definitely interest there. As much as this has been about the defense in the offseason for the Rams, McVay is an offensive guy. And, whether you think adding Odell Beckham Jr. to that locker room is a good idea or not, to see him on the field in terms of McVay, his eyes are even bigger than they usually are.
I know you also covered USC. Sam Darnold going into the draft. I think the Browns have played this perfectly, where they're not really tipping their hand. I still get the feeling that they like Josh Allen more than Sam Darnold, but you want to give the Giants the impression, hey, if you want him, you better go get him. How do you think this plays out with these quarterbacks?
I got to say, having been at Pro Day for Sam Darnold at USC this year, I saw the Browns owner was in the stands. He was talking to Sam Darnold's, parents. Whether that's a big smoke screen or not, I don't know. But my sense would be that at this point, I could see them still sticking with Darnold. Mm-hmm. But that's obviously with no insider information. I just get the sense that, are you really going to gamble on a guy like Josh Allen? As much as you might like what you're seeing on tape, I mean, if you look at that record in college, which doesn't always tell the story, of course, it just strikes me, and it may be because I was so close to it watching it on Pro Day, that they're either doing a great sell job or they're going to go with Darnold.
What do you make of Jim Moore's comments about Josh Rosen, indirectly about Josh. It's more about Sam Darnold. Hey, he's the perfect fit for Cleveland, where he can see Josh going to New York instead of a sort of work ethic, blue collar town like Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think you got to be careful how you parse those comments. I know that having watched, both of those guys in Southern California, there's no question that that one of them has that athletic ability, that escapability, and one of them is the best pure passer probably in the draft. So I don't know that you can put too much stock in it. I think that the New York Giants, if they are going to take a quarterback, he'd be a perfect fit in New York.
You like Rosen?
Well, the experience that I've had with him, Dan, in terms of dealing with him, he was very young, just coming out of high school and in his first year at UCLA. But, yeah, I do. I saw him at the Combine. He is very aware of the questions, about him personality-wise, and that whole notion of, can a guy be too smart, or, is he not in love with football, all that kind of stuff. And I thought he's handled that all really well. I think my experience, as you mentioned, having covered college and now covering the NFL, so much of this depends on where a guy goes to, what system he's in, and what coach he's got. So if you're Josh Rosen and you're looking at the two situations, the New York Giants wouldn't be a bad fit with Shermer.
Gary, thank you for joining us. Have fun down there. Behave at the owners' meetings, all right?
Thanks, Dan.
That's Gary Klein. He covers the Rams for the LA Times.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.